Welcome to our first video series for the mega trend, Future-Proof Your Business Through Digital Transformation. I am Jean-Marc Imbert. I am a partner at RSM Australia and also the National Head of Risk Advisory Services Division. I'm here to introduce Kee Wong, who I've known for a number of years and been working recently with Kee. Kee is a highly respected and experienced entrepreneur and investor, advisor, and non-executive director with a background and qualification in engineering, information technology, and business. So we have the pleasure of having Kee with us to talk today. And on that hand, I just wanted to ask Kee, if you can give us a bit of a background about yourself and your role and what you're seeing in the marketplace to start the conversation.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. Firstly, for the opportunity to be part of your series and also to be able to put some messages out into industry about the importance of digital technology and innovation. So my background is I came here almost 40 years ago to be an engineer, and I studied engineering at Monash in Melbourne and had practiced engineer for a while, became a management consultant, and then drifted into technology. And I've been passionate about technology ever since. And currently my role is to be a combination of few things, as you've done in the introduction. I sit on boards of public listed company, private businesses, as well as government entities. In almost all cases, my value add is to be bringing the ideas of entrepreneurship into the boardroom, but also to be one that actually advocate for innovation and technology and how businesses needs to put technology at its core. My passion is around how we actually move the dial in Australia, particularly starting with the boardroom, in looking at businesses and industries by looking at opportunities that it can create itself, applying technology.
Kee, I've got my first question I wanted to ask you is, what does digital transformation mean to you?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I don't want to be evasive because digital transformation means different things to different people. But there's one thing in common that I like to sort of point out. Just because you apply technology to your current business does not mean you're going through a digital transformation process. So I look at digital transformation at a broader agenda, and that is, what opportunities do you see when you actually can transform your business? And the first step is to transform your business without technology. And then when you apply technology to it, you actually change the opportunities from the perspective of how you can actually amplify the impact. So example I would use is to say that in a hotel business, if you look at transforming your business digitally, most people would think about automating business process using technology. Most people would think about how you actually apply technology to better market yourself, better access to promote your product through social media, etc., etc. That will take you a long way from where you are if you haven't applied digital transformation to your business.
Yep.
What is missing is a new business model that you create if you were to think digital or technology at its core first. And that's the Airbnb model. So the Airbnb model could not have come from a hotel business because the mindset is different in terms of what they think about digital transformation. And the Airbnb model illustrates the point that in strategic thinking today, if you don't put digital or technology at your core of your thinking, you could not have imagined that a model like Airbnb is possible.
It's possible, yeah. I agree.
So I think digital transformation is a broad topic, And people need to start changing their mindset into thinking digital first. And then you wrap your business model around it. Yep. And out comes a new way of thinking that otherwise will be stunted if you just try and automate your current business model.
Yep. On the topic of being digital first, which areas within a business would most benefit from digital transformation? I mean, I know what you're talking in terms of the context you just set up before, and your example around Airbnb is a very good one. But in terms of what do you see area that a business could be focusing on?
Well, it depends on your industry. So if your industry is about moving products in supply chain and logistics, or if your business is in entertainment, where you're creating digital content, or if your business is in banking and finance, where you're all about movement of numbers and digital information, or if you are in a government business, where you're actually creating policies and doing administration and compliance, every single business has a different flow or dynamic or priority. But it is safe to say that opportunities in terms of digital transformation can either be in the user or customer experience. It can be in improving product and service, design and delivery. It can be in optimizing operations in terms of productivity. And it can also in creating a new way of doing things, which is what I've talked about in the Airbnb model.
Airbnb situation, yeah. I mean, you mentioned before you're on a number of boards, and and knowing you for so long, and I know there's some very high-profile board as well. How do you, in terms of how some of those boards you're on undertake digital transformation and how they've brought value? Can you sort of share with us some insight on that?
Well, the board that I sit on, fortunately, are ones that are very progressive in thinking. Nonetheless, the board itself is just one entity in an organization. Management is going to be a very important factor in this.
Yep.
And one of the key areas of success that I've come to know through many conversations is that the important part of any digital transformation process is leadership. So I think the board needs to lead, and the chairman of the board needs to be one where the progressive thinking needs to be lead by example. And that takes in one given concept, and that is mindset. So the mindset needs to be there, leadership needs to be there, and culture change needs to be there. Then I think the collaboration and the communication between board and management needs to be very effective. And there needs to be a shared language between the two entities, between the board and management. Then I think you need to think about a program by which you incentivize people to have the attitude and the mindset of innovation and applying digital transformation to every part of the business, and that they need to permeate it into the organization so that there's a DNA change. I think that's the biggest challenge, because everything else, once you have that in place, how you actually develop a new system, you develop a new process model, how you actually adopt new technology, how you partner with people so that you don't actually build it on your own, all that falls into place once you have all that in place.
In place, absolutely. I agree with you. I know we, I have a final question for you, which I think is which is about what advice would you have to anyone embarking on a digital transformation project now? I mean, we've heard all the many, challenges, but what advice would you give to an organization which is embarking on a digital transformation project?
Well, it's not so much of an advice. I think it's more a cautionary word. I mean, if you don't think about it now, I think you might be left behind. So it is almost a given that digital transformation is no longer a competitive advantage. It's a must do. And if you're not thinking about now, I think you're a little bit late, and you're certainly not contemplating to embark on it, you could be left behind. So I think it's very important that every organization now needs to start thinking about this. And what the internet has done is it literally flattened the world and collapsed. So whilst in the past, industrial revolution will take a long time to catch up, because there's a lot of infrastructure set up that's required in order for you to get ahead. The internet and mobile communications, the cloud, literally make it available almost immediately. So the time to advantage that you had previously is gone, and innovators can start anywhere, anytime, and their impact on your economy and your business, while they might be overseas, is high. So global competition is not about you going after a global market. Global competition is global companies coming into your market without you even knowing about it, right?
Yes.
Almost immediately. So I think that every company now needs to be globally competitive, not because you're going for global markets, because people coming to your backyard and taking your market away.
Taking your money, absolutely. It's a very, very valid point you're making. And when I talk to my counterparts internationally, that's the same commentary they're making, and value that. Finally, Kee, I really would like to ask you a question about any takeaways or really a gold nugget you can share with us that we can take on this journey around digital transformation.
Yeah, thanks, Jean-Marc. I'd say a couple of things. I'd say the first thing is the board needs to be the one that drives the agenda, because the board can actually be the one that incentivizes management to act, either through their KPIs and the incentives. And collaboratively, the board working with management is the one that's going to get the outcome, but it has to be transformative thinking and agenda setting at the board level. So the board's very important in all of this. The second thing I would say is the traditional way of thinking about strategy has to be reshaped. You got to reimagine the business differently. And that is to start strategic exercise and thinking by putting technology at the core. So the hotel business, for example, that I mentioned before, the traditional way a hotel would think about strategy would be location, property, operations, marketing, etc. And then how can technology make all that work better? They could never imagine an Airbnb model, because Airbnb, it didn't start with any other hotel business agenda. They started with technology at the core, and how can I connect people with properties, with people who want accommodation, and how can I then actually find a way of connecting demand and supply, and then apply a commercial model around it using technology at the core of it. So that's the difference. So if you don't put technology at core, you'll always imagine a business like a hotel business in a traditional way. You'll never be able to imagine a new way of doing things. So that's the example that I think I would leave for people to think about that. And just another analogy that might be useful to think about is, before the automotive came around, if you ask anyone who runs transportation system using horse and carriage, will be, if you want a faster journey, they have to imagine how to breed a faster horse and put more horses onto a carriage, right? So you never be able to break out of that cycle if you don't think differently.
Absolutely. I like that quote, but you never break out of the cycle. Paying for that. So I really, really appreciate again your time today and sharing with us your valuable insight. To everyone who's please subscribe to the Mega Trend series and watch out for the upcoming videos, because there's some good insight that you would get from those very important videos that we're making to make sure we spread the news and also the knowledge we're gaining from both our client and our contacts at RSM. So thank you again, Kee, and I look forward to catching up very soon.